put a little mayo in there, it's game over. Looks bomb.
Hey everyone, so you probably clicked on this video because you were intrigued by the title, but I quit my job that I had, and I had been at that building for about close to 11 years, and I voluntarily quit. That's pretty much all I can say about that. I was going to the store because we're out of snacks and breakfast items and that, and now that I'm basically a stay-at-home mom, while my kids are still in daycare, so I'm not really sure how we word that, but on my way over here, I was just thinking a lot. I was driving and thinking, and I just thought maybe I should document something in case you feel this way, or in case you feel like you're in this spot currently. I know that not everyone will feel this way, but if there's at least one or two people out there that I could share some words of wisdom with or something, then I guess you'll still be here. But you know, as I mentioned, I'd been there for well over a decade, and everything was great up until the last couple of months, well over the last 2 months, due to some transitional changes and changes in name and ownership and etc. But you know, now that I have so much free time, I guess you should say, I try to keep myself busy. Number one, I try to keep myself busy. I have projects I have at home. Like right now, I'm gonna go back after I pick up some groceries and then kind of paint this little side panel thing that I've been wanting to paint forever at home. But I started thinking while I was like raking leaves yesterday and on my way over here that, you know, when you're not working, you just have a lot of time to think, and that could either be very dangerous or a great development in yourself. But I realized that I spent the last 10 years or over 10 years just always focusing on work. So in between those 10 years, I got married, had kids, but I continued to work full-time. I continued to be a full-time employee with great performance or good performance, you know, depending on the year. I know we're not all perfect all the time, but I started to realize that my whole life revolved around this job that I set up for my career. And, you know, I went to school for it. I went to additional courses, seminar. I got a certificate. You know, I did all that. But, you know, being home, I realized that, you know, I don't even know what I like anymore. I don't know what my hobbies are. I forgot how to even exercise at this point. I used to love running and going out. I mean, because I had more time. Previously I was hourly. Now, over the last 7 years or so, I've been salary. But I guess you never realize like how much you're on autopilot, and how everything just evolves around how I gotta get this ready for tomorrow, or I gotta do this, or I gotta do that, I gotta prep. It's a lot of like going to work, being at work, feeling like you didn't accomplish much, at least where I was at, because of the job that I had, the type of job that I had. It was, you know, continuous work. Some projects took a year, some projects took 2 years in the making, whatever it may be. So I think step number one for that, or my bullet, I guess I should say, is that first of all, the job that I had, you didn't get the satisfaction of seeing the project end that day. So I've had jobs where I work on something, I see it finished same day. You know, and that brings some sort of instant gratification, I guess, if you want to call that. But you get to see the work. You know, you go to, for instance, for landscaping this weekend, I had a project. I said I was going to do XYZ, and I accomplished XYZ, and that was it. You know, I set my goals, I saw it through, and then within a day it was done. But with my previous job, I should say, you know, I there'd be things I'd be working for a year or a year and a half, whatever it may be, and by the time I got to the end, I had lost all interest in celebrating my accomplished goal. But I think that's dissatisfaction number one about working in a corporate job and working a 9 to 5, which technically was like 8 to whenever. Especially recently, it would be like 3 in the morning getting emails, and then like midnight still getting emails that I may or may not decided to have responded to, but because I would set limits for myself. So bullet 2, I mean, obviously try to set some limits within yourself so you have some time. But my point is, I guess I didn't realize how much I was on autopilot trying to get things accomplished at work and staying up at night thinking how I needed to accomplish some other item, and I didn't get to do this yesterday, and it just, my point is, it just doesn't give you time to think about you or yourself or your life necessarily. Like if you're just constantly putting all of your energy into your work, your job, you don't spend that energy thinking about yourself. It's not like you split your brain in half and then you say, well, this side's going to think about this and this side's going to think about that. You know, like all your effort and focus is on careers. And I think we're just ingrained since college or even sooner that you need to focus on this to get to this point. But I don't know, maybe it's my age. You know, I'm not 20 or in my 20s anymore, I should say. I'm in my mid 30s, and call it what you will, but you start to realize that it doesn't matter that you pretty much accomplished this goal at work, but what did you accomplish for you? Like if that was your accomplishment for yourself and you're excited about it, that's awesome. But if you're not, you know, what's the point? But anyway, my main topic for right now is I started thinking about how I don't focus on me. I haven't been able to focus on myself and what I like. I used to love photography, you know, like film. That's how long it's been. I loved photography, and I really love developing film, which I know has actually come back as a trend, or maybe not a trend, but it just came back. It's like the cool thing to do, but I really like doing that. And I barely even touch a camera anymore. Like for my birthday, I got a Polaroid, and I thought that was really cool. But other than that, I can't tell you what my interest or hobby is or anything like that. And it's not because I don't have any. I just haven't been able to focus on myself. And especially if you have a family and kids, you focus on everybody else and making sure everybody else is okay, and you just have to focus on you. And I think it's easier said than done. Like, well, just focus on yourself, you know, but that's really difficult to do, especially if you work full time, or if you are home full time, or if you have kids and you have something else that is your main focus in life, and you spend more than 90% of your time on that. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I came home and I was like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. Or, I mean, just planning a vacation in itself, it was like I'm at work trying to plan a vacation, because if I go home, I won't be able to sit down on my computer and do this because I have kids, I have to make dinner. You know, I do have a husband. Yes, he does help, but you know, there's some things that you want to do and no one else can do that for you, because that's something that you want to do. And even that was stressful. It felt like, you know, and that in itself is a whole nother subject. So vacation and sick time in the corporate world, at least where the places I've been, I feel like they guilt trip you, number one, for being sick up until COVID happened. Now it's like, hey, I'm sick, and they're like, yeah, you should stay home. Before it was like, well, just say you have allergies, or maybe you just have the sniffles. But they always made you feel terrible for trying to use up your 80 hours that you've had throughout the year. You know, not all at once, but if you were sick one day, they're like, but we really need you, or etc., or whatever it may be. And I don't know, the whole guilt trip thing. And then planning a vacation, it was like planning your vacation around other people's schedule and vacation. It wasn't your own schedule. So, you know, my mom's argument all the time is like, at least you get vacation and sick pay, you know, as a self-employed employee, self-employed person, I should say. My mom doesn't get paid. If she doesn't work, she doesn't get paid. If she goes on vacation, she doesn't get paid. And I told her, you know, that's that's good and all, but I can't even use it. Like, when I left, I had all of my vacation and I had all my sick time, or very close to. I probably used a day because my kids got sick, and it's like, unless you have a kid and you tell them, like, well, there's no one to take care of them, then they're like, fine, but are you going to be online or whatever, you know? So that's my other stress about that. And I think the problem is that you focus so much on your work and you get little time for yourself, whether it be sick or vacation, because if you request it, most of the time they kind of guilt trip you, or they hit you up anyway, asking where these things are, or what is this, or can you run these numbers, can I get some data? And you, as trying to be a great employee, trying to get that promotion, trying to get that raise, you're like, yeah, I'll help you, I'll do this and that. But over the last 3 years, you know, we had a whole freeze and increases and this and that, and not until recently did I get some promotion that I thought I should have received a while back. I know, I can already hear someone saying, well, you just thought you needed a promotion. No, I had been doing the stuff that I did a couple years now, and now they decided, when I was, you know, pretty much asking them again, that they finally give me what I was looking for. But it's just not worth it to me. To me, what's worth it is finding out who you are, what you want to do, your interests. And you know, some people do that. Some people have the energy and can manage working full-time, a family, and having a whole hobby. But to me, it just feels like you're living for a weekend, because what are you going to do during the week? You know, like, you're going to go out canoeing during the week when you got kids and you're married and you got a house and pets. And, you know, I can probably assume that I can hear people say, like, well, don't have pets, don't have a family, don't have a husband. That's fine, but, you know, so does that mean that married people with pets and family just don't have a hobby? You don't get to do anything for you? You know, when we would plan vacation, it would be for a weekend mostly, and that was it. You know, and when you have kids, they go to school. You're not going to pull them from school all the time just to go on a week's vacation randomly, unless it's spring break. But during spring and winter break, everything's booked up too, because everyone's trying to book at that time. So hopefully you booked early during your work hours, and you were able to somehow do that while you're at work. But I don't know. I guess my whole point is, not until now did I realize that how much I had been on autopilot, or how much my life revolved around, well, tomorrow I have work, so, or sorry, but tomorrow at lunch I have to go do this because that's the only time I have free time, you know. And right now, the only thing not the only thing, I mean, I just talked about my few projects I'm going to work on. I mean, other than looking for a new place, a new career, which I'm not very excited for, I'm just trying to reflect on myself and kind of trying to find myself again. Like, what do you like? What's your favorite color? What do you like to eat? You know, even that became autopilot. Like, oh, what should we eat today? It was like the same meals every week. And as much as I loved cooking, I started to hate cooking, because it was like, gosh, this again, you know, like, I felt like I just didn't have time to even look into what I wanted to make next, let alone go to the grocery store and pick out all these ingredients that I've never even seen. Maybe. You know, I'd like to expand. I really like to make Indian food one day, and I have no idea where to get most of those ingredients, other than some things that I've researched for. But that's what I mean. Like, unless I've carved out time during my week to research and get the ingredients and read it and make it step by step, it's just like you're on autopilot, and it just makes you feel like, was it worth it? I mean, you honestly don't need the latest and greatest thing. I know people say that all the time, but you don't necessarily need a bigger house, bigger car, unless you absolutely need extra seats in the back. But, you know, if it's something that's getting you by and it's not creating any issues, you know, if you don't have any car issues, keep that car. Maybe it doesn't look great. It's fine. It's getting you places, you know. And if you have a home and you need, if you have the space that you need and it just doesn't look that great, then, you know, you can spend energy making it a little bit nicer, changing the drape, changing this, changing that, you know, rearranging the furniture, using what you have. But in reality, if you have what you need and that keeps you content and happy, then you don't need to stress yourself working in a place, trying to get more money, hoping to get more money, more like sometimes, just so you can realize that you lost yourself somewhere. And I know that doesn't happen to everyone, but I just feel like you really do lose yourself. They say sometimes you lose yourself in motherhood, but I think I lost myself a lot more when I worked in corporate. When I was a mom, that was just an additional joy in my life, you know, like trying to make my kids happy, and or just seeing them be happy with even the most simplest things. I can't even tell you how many Amazon boxes we've gotten, and that's what they want to look at. They don't even care about what's inside the box at that point. And I don't think anybody really talks about how much, or maybe they're just too intimidated to talk about it, but you really do lose yourself in a career, especially if it's not something that is necessarily a description of yourself. So what I did, I couldn't say that that's a description of me. It was just a part of me. But if you're a doctor, let's say, and that's just a part of you, then that's awesome. If you love what you do and it's something that you love going into every day because it's your passion, that's awesome. You know, keep doing that until your heart is no longer content with that. But for me, I feel like for most people, we feel like, or I don't know who it is, society, family, whatever, it's just like they just expect you to be this one career for the rest of your life. And I don't think that's natural. I don't think that's normal. I mean, number one, the wear and tear on people, like, for instance, because I'm looking at one right now, but a UPS truck driver. I'm sure that there's plenty of people that'll, you know, have their whole investment in that career, but just the wear and tear on your body in itself, just getting, you know, I can't even tell you how many UPS drivers have told me that their left leg or their left knee is actually the one that goes out or first, because it's the one that they always step out with and step back into their truck with, and, you know, their backs. And I think it should be more accepted that you have different careers in your life. So in your early 20s, let's say you have a career up until your late 20s, and then you decide, I need to go back to school or something, and so you do what you need to do, or maybe you don't, and you just pick up a different career. And I feel like that should just be more accepted, because the burnout is real. It doesn't matter if it's something you went to school with or not, but you know, if your whole career is helping people with computers, at some point that's going to get old. You're going to hear every single question, every single complaint, every single, why didn't it work this way? Why did this happen? And you're just like I could tell you right now, for my career, I can literally predict what people's questions are going to be. And like, that's legit burnout, because you just already know. I mean, I joke around with like my husband, and it's like, I really do feel like we're in some sort of metaverse or whatever, because people literally ask the same thing in almost the same way. And I can almost predict who's going to say what, at what point, like what personalities will ask you this or that. And it's almost word for word. And it's like, it almost makes me feel like, is this real? Or is this just like the computer simulation just spewing out the same question? It's like you're in a video game and you go up to the shop and you're going to get the same, and it's always the same response. It's always the same question, you know? It's like, it's really strange sometimes. And I think that's legit burnout on that end, on top of a lot of other things that come through. But anyway, I think I'm going to go inside the grocery store, but I know this doesn't help, because right now I'm at the point that I came to the realization of why I made the decision that I made, and that it was a good choice. Except now my added stress is, what am I gonna do now? And what do I want to do next? I don't want to like find myself in who I am and then later lose myself again because I picked up something similar, like a similar corporate 9-to-5 job, and my main focus is this, just a place and not me or my life or my work at home. And I'm my personality is not the type to just not work. I know that a lot of people make that choice or maybe don't have that choice to work or not work, but for me, if you give me a choice and you ask me, would you rather this or this? Right now, I'm okay because I feel like I need a break. So I would choose to be home right now as long as I could, or maybe just for a few weeks or so. But I would want to do something else and kind of have like some sort of job too. I just don't know what that is exactly. I almost feel like doing a career shift, but I don't know. So if you feel this way, I guess the only thing I could say is that you're not alone. And maybe we can help each other figure out what we could do. Or if you're at a point where you're just not sure right now in your career if you should continue or if you should go, I hope that you get your sign, your direction, your whatever it is that'll help you make that decision soon. I certainly got mine in a very unconventional way, but it really did help make the choice for me because I was already having a little bit of doubts with this new role that I was given, and then I got the sign that I needed. So hopefully you have that or receive that soon, and that you don't have to spend so much time stressing about, what your choices are. Right now, my advice for many people has been, it's a great time. This is the time to search. This is the time to figure out what you would need, whether it be a flexible schedule, a higher position title, more money, whatever it is, it's out there right now, and there's no lack of options. But now when it comes to me, it's a lot harder to figure out what it is that I'm looking for and what my heart would be content and happy with at this time. Mostly because I lost myself somewhere in my corporate 9-to-5. So I hope this helps somebody figure this out for themselves maybe. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, I just got back from the grocery store and I'm actually really excited because I did get some items that I normally wouldn't get because I had time to look through all of the aisles. And so I'm gonna make some really good sandwiches for lunch. I know that sounds really boring, but like literally the sandwiches I was making before were really boring, but now I have like some stuff I can add to it. But anyway, while I was driving back, I realized the word I was looking for, and I failed to mention previously, was freedom. You can work and have money, but you don't have the freedom to go wherever you'd like. You don't have the freedom to use your vacation time necessarily. You have to work around different schedules, and hopefully they don't ask you to change your vacation dates, because I have at some point. And like a dumb employee, you're like, yeah, because at some point I'd like to get my promotion or etc. But you don't have that freedom. You have your sick time. You don't have the freedom to kind of just get better because they will email you or ask you or call you or text you or guilt trip you. But you have all that money that you make from this place that you feel is worth it because you're staying there to make money, to bring in income, and you don't have the freedom to use your time or your money to go somewhere. And now that I have the freedom, I'm like, I don't even know where I'll go. Like, of course I sat there sometimes when I would zone out, usually right before lunch or right kind of after lunch, and you think like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do the second that I quit or whatever? And for me, it was like, I just want to sleep in. I just want to be able to sleep in and not get bothered by anybody. Because I feel like I rarely get to do that. But secondly, I want to go to a place where there's a river or a lake, and that's what I want to do, is hang out at a river and a lake and not worry about how I have to come back on Monday or whenever. I mean, of course, there is still going to be a worry. For instance, I have kids, so unless they're on summer break, then I would have to worry to come back on Monday. But at the same time, now I don't have the freedom to feel like I can go somewhere and spend money because I'm not generating income, which is not my whole plan necessarily. I do eventually need to get a job and get back, but just right now in the reflection, I realized, like, I didn't even say the word freedom, but I'm looking for the freedom that I was looking for, and that's time. Like, you get to a point where you make money, yeah, but you don't have the time. You don't have that freedom, and that's what I'm looking for. Another thought I had was, I'm really grateful for what happened in the end. I'm a heavy believer that things happen for a reason, and maybe I just don't understand it now. But if this video does make it to the person that gave me that sign, I just, in a weird way, I want to thank you for making this decision easy for me to make, and it made it really clear. I still don't take back the conversation that we had and agree with what you said, but I just want to thank you for making this choice easy for me. That's all I want to say.